As a young babe, don't let your youth pass you by. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all doing well. As you can see, we are in my bathroom today because I'm literally about to do my makeup real quick because me and my friends Renee and Rebecca are heading out to Murky Christmas. So I need to do my face. I'm doing something real cute, real simple, but as promised, I hope I can actually get this video out on time. Welcome back to Vlogmas. As promised, today's video is all about making the most of your singleness. This foundation is finishing. My skin has already been prepped with the Camo Hydradaze. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's literally empty. This is like holy grail when it comes to like foundation base, because it's an amazing moisturizer and it just leaves your face feeling moisturized but also still tacky enough that it's like gonna grip your makeup. So yeah, that's what I've used. But let's get into it. How to make the most of your singleness. This was basically inspired in two kind of parts. So a couple weeks ago, do you remember when I did that chit chat get ready with me, my last one where I was getting ready to go to church? I met a girl at church who was a subscriber to my channel. Shout out to you. I was speaking to her and she was talking about how she's been watching my channel for a long time, which I really appreciate. And she was just so lovely and she was really encouraging, and it was the encouragement that I needed that morning, especially with like Vlogmas and everything that was happening with my laptop, and yeah, just looking for a new direction for my content. She was just so encouraging, and she said something which was, you know, she's been following my education journey and she's, you know, up to date with the fact that I'm a school governor now and all of that. And she was saying how my channel is the perfect, well, did she say perfect? Well, a good example of how to use your singleness well. And that was the first time like I had ever heard anybody say that about my content. But literally it just filled my heart with so much joy, because I think it's so easy as like Christian women to just think of our life seasons as wifehood, motherhood, and it's like there's so much beauty in being single and like enjoying that season. Like the Bible even talks about it, Paul talks about it, and I'm talking about it like this because I think the whole season of singleness thing is very much a Christian thing. Do you get what I mean? But I do think it's beneficial to think of this as a season. I think a lot of us see this season of being single, being a single woman, maybe just dating or being in relationships here and there as just like as just a waiting room to become married. And it's like there's so much more beauty in it than that. Like there's so much beauty in this season, and I think I'm really enjoying being a single woman, and I'm learning how to use this season well, right? And if my content, you know, reflects that, I'm really happy. Like I'm really happy. And the second thing that inspired this was the fact that there was no Vlogmas video yesterday because I was invited to a concert. I went to watch the Spirituals. I actually know quite a few, well, yeah, I know about a couple people in the Spirituals choir, which is an amazing choir based here in the UK. And they had their first concert, I guess in a while in London, and it was just so nice, like so nice. But I got invited to that pretty last minute by a few of the girls at the school that I'm a governor at sing in the choir, whether they are currently in the school or they are alumni, as well as two of my friends, Rihanna and Faith, they also sing in it as well. So I went to watch that and it was absolutely amazing. But I got invited to that last minute by my school, and it was just so nice to be there. But obviously I dropped everything. Like I was about to literally in the middle of, oh, okay, cool. I just got a text from Renee, even though she's like 2 rooms away, letting me know that Rebecca's gonna be a bit late because of the train strikes. So that gives me a bit more time, which is great because I'm definitely in a rush. I wanna get this video out before we leave. But yeah, she was saying how, sorry, what was I talking about? I was literally in the middle of getting ready. I had just finished washing my hair. I was blow drying it, and I was about to film a video for the evening for Vlogmas because I was feeling quite uninspired to make content yesterday. I think I'm PMSing and I'm just very tired. So yeah, I was getting ready to make content, and she literally called me as I was, one of the ladies who I sit on the governing board with called me as I was blow drying the last section of my hair and was like, hey, I know you wanted to come to Spiritual, did you get a ticket? And I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And she was like, well, one of the people who had a ticket for the school isn't coming anymore, so do you want to come? I was like, yeah. So I dropped everything, put my hair in this bun and went, and it was so good, like so good. And literally being able to just drop everything like that, obviously I had responsibilities, I had to upload a video, but I thought, you know what guys, how often can you go to a concert of such talented and amazing people and say you saw them with your own real eyes? And the whole evening was just a spirit-filled vibe. Like, it was amazing. And so I'm so happy I didn't miss it. Yeah, sorry. I'm so happy I didn't miss it. So yeah, I was like, how often, or who else, you know, unless a single person would be able to drop everything and be like, I'm going to a concert, you know, or I'm just going to go and do me. I'm just going to go and have a fun time. Sometimes you would have to think, and obviously marriage it has its own beauty, it has its own unique beauty. So I think people sometimes watch my videos about singleness and they think, oh, like you're saying marriage is like bad. It's not. I think what's beautiful about this stuff, and the way I think about seasons in general, and hopefully this blesses someone, is I look a lot to the story in Genesis about Joseph when he first comes to Pharaoh to interpret his dreams. And Pharaoh is like, I saw, you know, I had 3 dreams, 7 fat cows, 7 famished cows, all of these dreams, and Joseph's interpretation was like, okay, cool, the nation's going to go through 7 years of prosperity, and then they're going to go through 7 years of famine. And that, I'm not saying marriage is famine, please don't fight me, I'm not saying marriage is famine. But I am saying that what he came with the solution was that, okay, in this season of prosperity, in these 7 years, let's prepare for the 7 years of famine. Let's prepare for the season that we know is going to come ahead by saving 20% of everything that, basically like a tax, like let's save 20% of everything that everyone harvests, so that when the famine comes, we have stuff in the storehouse that we'll be able to eat from. And that's the way I think of seasons. This season of singleness isn't just about preparing for marriage. It's not just about being so marriage minded that like all you're thinking about is, oh my gosh, when am I going to get picked? When am I going to be, you know, with someone? When am I going to find my partner? It's about, okay, we're going through this season that has its own unique qualities, that has its own beauty, that has its own perks. And yes, I'm going to use a fraction of my time, a fraction of my energy, a fraction of my resources to prepare for the season, which I hope and know is ahead, which is to be married, maybe to become a mother, and the responsibilities that come with that. I'm gonna, you know, put aside my time, some of my time to preparing for that, but then 80% of it is going to be me enjoying this season of whatever it is. So in this case, being single. And that requires you to kind of shift your mentality from being obsessed about the next season and then growing disdain for being single and being a single woman. I think the world, not just, you know, in Christianity, but in general, makes single women feel as though like there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with this season. And like, I do think that narrative is kind of shifting a bit, because people are realizing that like, yo, marriage is hard work and you might not want to rush into it, and you might not want to idolize it either. And I will always be adamant that like, we need to be careful that in our love for love and in our love of marriage and in our, you know, reverence and adoration for that season, which is good, we do not make it an idol, right? We do not make it a god. We do not make it the benchmark for spiritual success, spiritual maturity, womanhood, anything. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from when I talk about the season of singleness. I've realized that like, yes, you should be using a part of the season to prepare for the next, but also there's so much that you should soak up from this season, because once you go into wifehood, once you go into motherhood, the hope is that that's the final thing, right? Not exactly the final destination, because there's so much evolution you'll do in that season as well, but like you're never coming back, hopefully, to being a single woman. You know, you're changed, you're altered, your responsibility, the distribution of your time, the demands on your energy has also changed, and that's beautiful. And being able to live up to that and being able to, you know, adjust, I think comes from not only the preparation you do in this season of singleness, but also your enjoyment of it, and being, you know, able to say, you know what, we did these years of being single well, I did this, I traveled, I experienced XYZ. And so that's why I wanted to come and share my 5 kind of things that I'm doing. And these 5 are not exhaustive, they are not the only things. You can definitely leave down below in the comments your tips on the things you should be focusing on or making a priority or just doing as you are a single woman. Yeah, let me get moving with this makeup though, because I don't want to be late. So the first thing is working and investing in your friendships and in your community, building a community around you. And the reason why I say this is obviously your girl's all about sisterhood out here, but also I think a lot of us just place so much value on romantic relationships that we start to view them as the only kinds of relationships we need to nurture and cultivate, when actually there are so many people in your life, you know, your family, your friends, your colleagues, just the people you're blessed to meet as you go through this thing called life, who you can cultivate relationships with and, you know, help and be helped by and enjoy. And it teaches you so much about yourself, about life, and about how you go about navigating relationships, your communication style, your commitment style, your feelings towards, you know, responsibility and commitment. All of that stuff can be learnt through cultivating friendship. And I think it's important to build that community around you whilst you are single, as well as just enjoying the people around you. Like, another thing that inspired me doing this video was looking back at and editing these New York vlogs and just seeing how much fun I had with Mandy, and realizing that when we both get married, we might not be able to do something like that just on a whim or just without loads of like years in advance, because we're trying to think of childcare and whether our spouses are going to come and work and all these other things. Like, to be young, to be free, to be without that much responsibility apart from work, because these bills got to get paid, is so amazing. And like, now we get to do spontaneous things with each other and go and fly out and do all these fun stuff. And I really love that. Like, I love having friends around me who I love, who I trust, who I know love me, and I've invested in that. And that takes intentionality. And I think as you are a single person, you have more time and effort. Why am I so out of breath? I think, girl, I need to start walking on the treadmill after these strength training workouts. But yeah, I just had a shower, as you can see from like the droplets. So it's very humid in here. So I'm like drinking up all the air. But essentially what I'm saying is I think it's important to just build out your friendship, build out your family relationships as well. If there's like healing to do there, if there's reparation to do there are people in your life who also need your time and your attention other than your spouse, you know. I think you can cultivate those relationships most when your spouse isn't in the picture, because they will need a lot of your time as well. Obviously not all your time, but yeah, I just think that that's something you can do. And also it gives you the ability to build a community who you can then rely on when you do get married, or when seasons do change, like when you do have children, or, you know, more responsibilities come into your life and you need to rely on community help. I know that in the Western world, we don't really do this because we are quite individualistic and focused mainly on like primary, immediate family. However, it's amazing to have community help, to have friends around you who can be, you know, advisors, who can be counselors, who can be childcare providers, who can just, you can be around, who can split, you know, monetary responsibilities with you, just people who can be your support system. And I was having a conversation with Adela Afadi when we went to dinner the other day, and she was talking about how like her and Keith's marriage, if you don't watch Adela and Keith here on YouTube or on TikTok, then you should, because they are some of my favorite people. But she was talking about how their marriage has benefited hugely from the fact that they have such amazing community around them, people who they can go to for advice, for counsel. And you see that through, you know, their social media. They're with their siblings, they're with, you know, friends. And it's so nice to have people who are in the same season as you, maybe a little bit ahead of you, a little bit behind you, who you can pour into and who can pour into you and give you fresh perspective for your life. I think it makes navigating life a whole lot easier. And I think some of us go into relationships or even into marriage isolated because we didn't in our single season work on cultivating these relationships. And also we go into relationships with them being our first experience of communication, and ultimately we then have to do all of our maturing in the relationship. And it's like, no one wants to be in a relationship. I, as a person, don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who hasn't learned how to treat human beings, because I am their first intimate, close relationship, because they don't have friends or people who they deem to be worthy of their integrity, their commitment, just because they're not in a romantic relationship with them, if that makes sense. Like, being friends to people has taught me so much about myself and my character and the areas about my life which need refinement. And I think that that brings a level of maturity and also preparedness for when you do go into a relationship. Obviously, that grows you in a new, different way because it requires different things from you. But I do think marriage is just you being in a romantic relationship with your best friend. And so if you want to learn about friendship, you should have friends. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, that would be the first thing. Cultivate some friends around you. The second thing, bouncing off of what I was describing about Mandy and our trip to New York, if you haven't watched those vlogs already, then please do. They are absolutely epic. The girlies are loving them. Thank you all so much for your lovely comments. But yeah, travel. One thing about me this year, you have already seen, I was outside in the sky, in the world, from city to city. And I loved it. There's so much of the world to see. And I think as young women, we should go out there and see it. You know, I think being in a place where you do have maybe some disposable income, or even you've saved, you know, for the purpose of seeing the world, is so amazing, because you learn so much about culture. You learn so much about independence, about problem solving, about just different people and different mentalities that exist in the world, different approaches to life. And I genuinely think travel, it expands your mind. Like, it expands your mind and your way of thinking, and in such a beautiful way. And so yeah, I would highly recommend that if you can, as a single lady, whether you are going with friends or you are going by yourself, you should travel the world. Like, really travel the world. Go to some countries, go to a different state, go to a different city, just go somewhere and be out here, like, seeing different people, making different friends, learning different languages if you can, or even like meeting different men and potential spouses. Girl, the world is vast. Who knows where your spouse could be, you know? But yeah, just start to explore and travel. And when I tell you, I have heard some nightmare tales. Well, I mean, it's not a nightmare. By God's grace, we'll all be able to do it. But like, some tales of how like family holidays can cost 4, 5, 6 times the amount that it costs to just be a solo traveler or a single traveler, or just maybe fly out with your friends. Like, I'm hearing people are spending 6, 7, 8 grand every time they go on holiday with their family. And it's like, no wonder family holidays are like a sign of wealth to a degree, where it's like, oh, we fly out every like 2 times a year. That's a big flex. That's a big flex, because it costs so much money. Like, I really, upon hearing that, I was like, Mom, I really rate you for taking us all to Ghana, because I've seen them Christmas prices. Obviously, it may have been cheaper. Sorry, when we were going, but them things were hefty. You gotta save money to be able to take your whole family like abroad. So I've definitely grown an appreciation for the fact that as a single woman, I can go and explore the world. And I also don't need to wait for anybody to be able to do it. I know there's a few, you know, ladies who are like, I'm waiting for my partner, we can do vacations. And it's like, yeah, okay. But how long are you going to wait for? You know? And also, even if, you know, your partner does come, maybe you don't want to travel to every country with the same person. Maybe you won't have the same hit list. Maybe you have, you know, more of an adventurous spirit and their work won't permit, you know, that much adventure. Like, go and make your own memories. And also, there's nothing stopping you from going to a country twice. I think the people that you go to a country with shape the experience just as much as the destination. I've been to New York twice. The first time was with Renee and the second time was with Mandy, as you just saw. And it was two completely different experiences, even though we went to a lot of the same places, because I was with two different people and both were equally as amazing. And also, I was a different person. I went to New York with Renee when I was 22. And I went to New York with Mandy when I was 25. I have a completely different outlook on life and things and the ways to navigate a country and the things that I want to do, you know? And so, girl, get your passport and get on a flight if you... It didn't break. Get your passport and get on a flight if you can. The next bit of advice that I would give is spend your money and your resources investing in yourself, whether that be your health, your working out, going to the gym, or even your education, investing in yourself, investing in your growth and your development. Something which has been heavily laid on my heart recently as like, I'm just maturing and growing is I want to be able to equip my children with so much, not just money, but also my own knowledge, my own network. I want to be able to raise them in the faith. I want to be able to do all these things for them. And that all starts with who I decide to be from now, right? How I decide to navigate through the world. And for me, it's important to display to my children and to my daughters, to everybody, to my sisters, to my friends, that like you can live a life where you actually put your growth in every area, your holistic growth first, and you show up as the best version as yourself. What am I trying to say? Where you can show up as the best version of yourself, and that takes investment, and you're worth that investment. One thing I absolutely adore about me growing up was that I was able to watch my mom invest in her self-care, invest in making sure that she was actually okay. And it wasn't always perfect. However, I got to watch her decide who she wanted to be and take risks and put resources behind, but being that woman constantly. And I think that being able to display that, it gives you a degree of confidence that you can also pass on and your children can inherit from you. And I think investing in yourself right now, even if you're not thinking about kids, even if you're not thinking about your partner, investing in becoming the woman that you actually want to be and putting your money and your energy behind that is important, because when you start getting new responsibilities, your energy distribution or your resource distribution is going to have to look a lot different in terms of proportions, right? Now, instead of getting to lie in or getting to go to the gym in the morning, you're working around breastfeeding, you're working around your children's school schedule when they're after school clubs, or you're working around your partner's work schedule and all of these other demands, or like your church's ministry schedule, whatever it is, you're working around so many different things now that your energy has to be distributed in different ways. But right now, hopefully as a single person, as long as you lay down all false responsibilities, most of your resources can go towards you. And that is such a great position to be in, because it means that you can solely focus on building the life that you want. And then you partner with somebody who's building, who can kind of match, not even match, but 10x those resources so that you can build a life together. But yeah, I personally think you should really spend this time investing in the person who you want to be and becoming her, and being very radical and very unapologetic about you becoming her, you becoming that woman who you want to be. Especially if you know the sort of partner you want to date, or you know the sort of life that you want to live, the sort of life you want to provide your kids, like all of that. Invest in yourself, baby girl. Invest in looking good, and invest in feeling good. Invest in your knowledge. Invest in your skills. Invest in your ideas. I've done a whole video about like investing in yourself in your 20s. You should go and watch it. But yeah, invest in your ideas, whatever it may be. Invest in you. All right. The penultimate tip that I have is give back to your community. Being a wife, being a mother, or whatever you're aspiring to is not the only ministry that you are called to. It's not the only, well, for most women anyway, it's not the only way that you can start to walk in your purpose or serve people. You can do that now. You can be a part of making your community, your society better, whether that is, you know, in my case, like being a school governor, having the time to give to that and being like, you know what, I want to help other people in some way, building to my sisters, like whatever it is, give back to your community, like become a person who is willing to serve without gain, or willing to, you know, just be everything that God has called you to be, and share your resources, whether that's, you know, volunteering, working at a food bank, giving to charity, sponsored walks, like just be somebody who gives back to your community. And you have the time to do that now more than ever, you know. And I think I love that about being single. Like your time is yours, and this is a way to give up some of that time for others, but it doesn't have to just be, you know, the people who you're romantically involved with, or even family and friends with. Like just give back to your community and do something that helps your community become better, whether that is teaching people something, or becoming a part of, you know, organizing events, or joining somebody else's team to bring your talents and skills towards it because you may have the time for it. And this also allows you to just become a more rounded person, and everything doesn't have to just be, you know, work and your job. And I think that that's so lovely, just to be a person who has things going on about them. And it also helps you to like avoid being bored, because I think a lot of us as single people, we're bored because we're just sitting around waiting for relationships, thinking that the only way to experience the excitement of life is to be with somebody, right? And it's like, nah, you can go outside. Like actually go outside, please. I know a few of you put in the community post that I posted that, and I'm gonna do a whole live, because some of the questions and some of the responses were so funny. I'm just waiting for my eyelashes to get tacky. They were so funny, like, but also I hear it. Like I really hear it. All of us are living very similar lives. But yeah, I think it's so important. I saw comments about how like, I want to date, but I don't want to go outside. And it's like, girl, get outside, find your community, like find things that you like, discover yourself, discover your hobbies, go to eat at new places and join new clubs and all of that. And I know we say like, oh, it's hard, and I completely hear it, but these things just take intentionality and effort to find. And when you find them, do them, you know, put yourself out there, whether it means overcoming some social anxiety, or maybe you feel a bit insecure about the way you look, like work through those things. But you deserve to experience your youth, especially like as a young babe. Don't let your youth pass you by. Like, don't let it go by and you wasted it, because you'll regret it. You're not going to be a young babe again. That I can guarantee you. Forget about being single. You're not going to be a young babe again. These knees ain't always going to work the way they're working now. Like, go and put them to use. Go outside and explore. Go outside and do you. Go outside and meet people. Go outside and give back, right? I'm gonna put these lashes on, and then I'm gonna come back with my last point. Okay, sis. So last but certainly not least, it's probably the most important thing on this list, is for you to build your relationship with God, okay? Baby girl, that Bible that is sitting on your nightstand has more in it than Proverbs 31. It has more on it. It has more in it than just how to be a godly wife, right? It has more in it than just being a woman and all that entails. All of that is great. But girl, first and foremost, that book is there to make you a disciple, okay? And that is your first call. Become a disciple. Learn about Jesus, the one you are called to emulate. Like, develop an individual relationship with God and a prayer life and all of that. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it does mean you have to make it a priority. A prayer life that spans way further than just, God, give me a husband. What husband do I need? Give me children. What children do I want? Like, I get it, and those things are important, because the desires of our heart and the things that we desire, we should always present them to God, and we should always ask God to be involved in every part of our lives, which includes getting prepared for marriage or desiring it even, and even asking God to help us to, you know, successfully make it through this season, but also to reveal to us what he wants us to take out of this season and to do with our time and to do with our money and to do with our energy, right? However, that is not all God is concerned about concerning you, right? You have a purpose. You have gifts inside of you, like whether that's a teaching gift, a prophetic gift, a ministry, like an administrative gift, or, you know, you are somebody who's just super encouraging, or you are somebody who is extremely wise, or you are somebody who, you know, just loves to serve people, or you love to be around kids and teach them, or you love to serve the homeless. Like whatever it is that you've been called to do, you got to start doing it. Just because you're not married doesn't mean you can't catapult yourself into God's destiny for you. He still has a purpose for you. And I think so much of womanhood has been defined as you're a woman, or you become, you know, ready for life or the big bad world once you get married. And it's like, no, God has prepared you to be in purpose right now. He's called you to do something, to discover something. And also, God cares about you. Like, not just wife you, not just your performance as a mother, not just as your performance as a girlfriend or as a, you know, a fiance or whatever. He cares about you. He knew you before he formed you in your mother's womb, right? And you is also separate from the titles that you carry. He wants an individual relationship with you, which means that you should cultivate an individual relationship with him because you need him to. And it's important for you to have that relationship with him and have your own time to study about him and to learn and to pray and to do all these other things. Like, I know even if you're not a Christian girly, the same kind of goes as like anyone who has a spiritual belief. Just strengthen yourself up spiritually, work on that, invest in that, because it's so easy to just make it all about getting things and getting married and finally, you know, getting to the altar. Don't make your wedding day the only day you lay down at that altar. Like, present yourself at that altar every single day. You don't need to be in a white gown to be before God. Like, you need to, in my opinion, if your priority, is to live a life devoted to Jesus, that doesn't just happen because you're married. All of these are offices or responsibilities or, you know, places where we can serve God and we can show godly character, but ultimately our relationship with God is the root and the foundation of all of that. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. You're first called to be a daughter before you were called to be a wife. And so strengthen yourself in that position. Strengthen yourself knowing that you have that authority, knowing that you have that power, knowing that God loves you, knowing that you have a father in God. Those are my tidbits. Those are my thoughts. I'm going to spray. Oh, I need to set my eyebrows. I'm going to spray my face down and then that'll be it. I am done. So yeah, share your thoughts with me, mamas. Let me know what you think. My makeup turned out good. I look cute. I look real cute. Let me know what you think. Like I said, this list was not exhaustive. And so if you do have any tips, if you do have I did not bronze again. Why do I always forget? I'm not even gonna bother. Face is looking starched already. Yeah, if you have any tips, if you have any thoughts or anything you want to share, please comment down below. Keep it loving, keep it respectful, but share your wisdom. I want to hear it. I hope that you are truly enjoying Vlogmas, and let me know if you want more content like this because I'll be happy to make it. I am going off to enjoy an evening with my friends, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. As always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.